My husband doesn't see how his work wife is trying to destroy our marriage, and it's destroying my mental health. Posted by you/Honeybellmama. I, 31F, am at my wit's end with my husband's, 32M, co-worker, Sarah, 30F, and his complete inability to see what's happening. I'm not usually one for Reddit, but I need to know if I'm going crazy here. Where do I even start? 3 years ago, my husband, Mark, started working with Sarah. At first, I tried to be welcoming. I invited her to our BBQs, included her in group outings, and genuinely tried to be friendly. That was a mistake. She would spend the entire time making backhanded comments about everything from my career. Oh, you're just a yoga instructor? How peaceful, to my cooking. I guess not everyone can master basic seasoning. The real problem is that Mark thinks she's just being funny. Last month, she literally threw away the anniversary mug I gave him because it clashed with the office aesthetic. When I got upset, Mark said I was being too sensitive and that Sarah just has high standards for office decor. It was a mug with our wedding photo on it. To list a few more things Sarah has done. She scheduled a mandatory work dinner on our anniversary. She convinced Mark not to take a promotion because it would mean working with a different team. She posts daily photos of them together with hashtags like #WorkPowerCouple and #WorkSpouse. She tells everyone at their office that she takes better care of him than I do. She changed his coffee order and now tells everyone she trained him right. The worst, absolute worst, part of all this is that my husband is completely blind to it. Yesterday, he actually told me how Sarah said our new house, which we spent months searching for, was charming, in a starter home kind of way. He repeated this while laughing. I tried talking to him about it, but Sarah has convinced him I'm just insecure. She's managed to insert herself into every aspect of our lives. They text constantly, even on weekends. She knows his schedule better than I do. She rearranged his entire desk and office wardrobe because his style was too suburban husband. That's what he is. Last week, I suggested marriage counseling. He looked genuinely confused. Of course, he went and talked to Sarah about it. I found out from another co-worker that she's been telling people Mark and I are going through a rough patch and that she's just being a good friend by giving him someone to talk to. We weren't going through anything until she started this nonsense. I reached my breaking point when I stopped by his office to surprise him with lunch. I know, but it was his birthday and Sarah was supposedly out sick. But guess who was there? Sarah. She'd miraculously recovered and bought him a cake that said "To my work hubby" with a photo of them from the office holiday party. She saw me and said, "Oh, Amy, you came too, how nice. Mark, you didn't tell me your real wife was coming. I'm not crazy, right? This woman is trying to destroy my marriage while my husband stands there grinning like it's all some big joke. What do I do? Divorce seems extreme, but I'm running out of options here." Edit. I should have stated that the promotion wouldn't have increased his salary, only his title. It would have given him more leadership experience. It still blows my mind that he turned it down just to stay on the same team as her. Edit 2. I should have told the mug story in its entirety. She accidentally broke the mug. I noticed it was gone when I was visiting him one day and asked him about it. He said she had accidentally knocked it over, and later, he repeated a joke she made about how it didn't fit the office aesthetic. Relevant comments. Commenter. Yeah, this guy isn't oblivious, he's complicit. He knows what's happening, and he likes the attention. He's happy to let his girlfriend disrespect his wife. Sarah wouldn't be able to sabotage your marriage if your husband wasn't allowing it. Update 4 days later. Hi, I posted a few days ago. I really didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. I got so overwhelmed by all the comments that I haven't responded to any. I want to address everyone who says it's fake. I understand why you think that, but this is my personal hell. I only listen to Reddit stories on TikTok, but when this reached its boiling point, I just needed a place to talk. So I made an account and tried to yell into the void. Well, the void turned out to be less empty than I thought. Now, to why everyone is here, the update. Before I talked to my husband, I decided to do some investigating. I started with his phone and read all the messages between him and Sarah. She badmouthed me a few times. He did nothing to defend me but didn't engage either. She was flirty, he wasn't really flirty back. They talked a lot, and he frequently praised her for her work ethic and intelligence. I didn't see anything about cheating. I checked his email, nothing. I checked his work email, nothing. I looked through our other devices, nothing. I searched high and low for a second phone, nothing. Everything I found was always dancing on that line. Nothing was outright cheating, but here are the things I found that did hurt my feelings. He has lunch with her, and only her, every day in the office. They don't really like anyone else, so they'll criticize others and say, "Let's talk more at lunch. They're serving XYZ today." He'd say things like, "I'm sure if you were a wife, you would XYZ." He always kept it as a wife and not my wife, but it still upset me. She admitted to breaking the mug on purpose. He didn't get upset with her, just said, "Yeah, the photo gifts are kind of corny." I confronted him. I laid it all out, and while he wasn't upset, he did try to brush things off. He said I was being sensitive and overreacting. I told him that if we didn't have a real conversation about this, I would file for divorce. That got his attention, and he sat down with me. He admitted that, at first, he found it odd that Sarah was trying so hard. He saw her trying hard with all the men in the office. The more attention she gave him, the more he enjoyed it, and the more he responded, the more attention she gave, until she just had her sights on him. He knew some of the other men were envious, and he liked that too. He admitted that, eventually, he just got too deep. He said he knew it was wrong but had gotten addicted to the attention and didn't want her to move on to another man. So he indulged her sometimes at my expense. He said it was just nice to have two women in the two major parts of his life, stating that he knew we'd rarely see one another, so what was the harm? He reiterated that he never, ever physically cheated with her but admitted it could be called an emotional affair. It was painful, I won't hide that. I mean really painful, like I wasn't enough. I told him that from this point on, he needed to stop communicating with Sarah and ask to be transferred or switch jobs altogether. Now, folks, I mean it when I tell you this, he absolutely lost it. He began raising his voice, saying things like he never cheated, it was all above board, and I couldn't control who he talked to at work. He called me a narcissist and a control freak. He told me I had no idea how hard it was, how much stress he had in the office, that his personal relationship with Sarah helped a lot, and taking it away would just damage his mental health. It got so bad that I started crying. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to leave. I packed a small bag and called my mother-in-law, she's the only family I have here. I gave her a rundown of what was going on, and she offered her home to me. I'm staying here and just hoping my husband calms down so we can revisit this. I want to work it out, I love him more than anything. I will try harder to answer comments on this post, and I will definitely update if something new happens. This has been really therapeutic and makes me feel less alone. Relevant comments. Additional info from Op about her mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is on my side and told me point blank that he is wrong. However, she said she doesn't want to get in the middle because she doesn't want to damage her relationship with either of us. She told me I'm welcome to stay as long as I need, but she won't bring anything up to her son unless he brings it up to her. As for my husband, he has tried to reach out. He's called, left messages, and texted. I let him know I was safe and left it at that. He messages or calls every few hours, but we haven't talked. Second update 1 day later. Well, I'm back. First, I want to address some of the negative comments. To all the people saying they're Team Sarah and hoping Sarah and my husband get together, I even saw a nasty comment saying Sarah and my husband would be the office power couple. How can you sit here and say nothing's going on? You claim my husband didn't cheat and that I'm being crazy, yet in the same breath, you wish they would get together? You're contradicting yourselves because, deep down, you know something romantic was developing. Now, the update. My husband came to my mother-in-law's house, she didn't call him. He knew I was there because I told him, and he said he wanted to talk. Some big things happen in such a short time. He wanted to explain. According to my husband, after I left, he started to reflect. He did call his mom, and they had a long talk. I didn't know any of this. She asked him if he was happy with me, and he said yes, that I made him extremely happy. I was a good wife and a great partner. This was when it all sunk in for him, that he was being juvenile for wanting attention from another woman. I did ask him why he always brushed things off and never took action before. He said he couldn't explain it, it just felt good. He assured me he never wanted to sleep with her and never advanced things that way. It was just nice having someone around who was fawning over him, like a fan. For those who said he didn't know what an emotional affair was and was just agreeing with me, you were right. He admitted he didn't really understand what an emotional affair was, but after looking it up, he agreed that's what it was, though unintentional. He said he didn't want to lose his friend, so he just went along with a lot of what she did. He admitted he was deep in a fog, but me leaving and his conversation with his mom were what brought him out of it. He said he didn't want to fight. My husband is big on giving me my space, so when I left, he didn't chase after me because he thought it would be best for us to cool down, think about things, and hopefully come back to discuss them more rationally. He did reach out to Sarah. Though they didn't meet in person, they had a phone call. He told her they couldn't remain as close, that their out-of-office texts and calls needed to stop, that he would get a replacement mug she wasn't to touch, and that they needed to cut back on their lunches. He wanted to handle this before talking to me to show he was serious. Sarah didn't take it well. She started berating me, saying I was forcing him to do this. My husband stopped her and said no, he was doing this because his marriage was important. He admitted to letting things go too far but clarified that he had no romantic interest in her. He told her that if she had feelings for him, she needed to distance herself immediately. Sarah ended up ruining their friendship herself. Though my husband was willing to maintain a more distant friendship, her comments about me and him, claiming she'd never want him and that everything she did was because she knew we weren't meant to be together and was trying to open his eyes, made him realize how vindictive and awful she was. He said he couldn't believe he had never seen it before. She was almost venomous. It didn't end well. After handling that situation, he came to see me, wanting to ensure I knew he understood and was taking the proper steps. He said we could do whatever I needed. I know some of you will say I'm wrong, that divorce is the only option because he had an emotional affair. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not divorcing my husband. I told him we needed counseling for both of us. Yes, going through all his devices, emails, and texts might have been extreme. He agreed it felt like a breach of privacy but understood, given the circumstances. I told him we both needed to work on things. As of right now, I guess you could say we're separated. We're not staying in the same house. We're going to attend counseling. I don't want to just jump back into things with him. I don't want it to seem like it was okay to make me feel like I was the second option, to ignore all those red flags, and to brush me off. This has to be worked on. I'm leaving his mother's house and staying with a friend. I'm not sure if anyone's going to want an update after this. Sorry it's so anticlimactic. Sorry it's the typical "oh, you just got back together." I mean, it is, but it isn't. I love my husband. I know he loves me. I don't think everything is an end-all be-all. Yes, it's a terrible situation. Yes, he did a terrible thing. But I want my marriage to last, so we're giving it another go. I genuinely hope this is my last update, but if it's not, you all will know. Thank you for all the messages, all the support, everything. It really has been a huge help. Relevant comments. Commenter. Hi, I'm glad that you're not going through the typical Reddit divorce him route. This is real life, with real people and real feelings. You have to see if you can work through it. This is marriage, and it's tough sometimes. When you go through crap like this, you go through it together. Now, if he had a physical affair with her, then yeah, divorce him. But since he didn't, it's more nuanced than that. And you know what? I would like to hear an update because whether things work out or not, I want to see you living your best life, with or without him. In the end, you'll come out stronger than you did in your first post. Also, I agree with other posters, you need to tell your husband that a distant friendship isn't good enough, that no friendship is the only option on the table. If he won't agree to that, then maybe divorce is the only option. Ops response. I know a lot of people have been saying this, but you have to understand. My husband still has to work with Sarah. Yes, he could quit his job, but finding another job takes time, so as of now, he has to work with her. So when I said he wanted to maintain a distant friendship, I meant that he wanted things to be cordial at work, so he didn't just outright cut her off. We had a very long conversation about it, and I should have added it to my update, but I didn't. When I mentioned him saying distant friendship, it wasn't him saying, I'm not cutting her off. It was, I don't want this to turn into a big thing at work, so I'm going to do this gradually, set hard boundaries, and then slowly drift apart because I'll start pulling away. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that was his thought process. Third update 4 days later. My husband's ex-work wife has started a smear campaign against me. As many of you predicted in my last update, Sarah wasn't happy about my husband ending their friendship and trying to put distance between them. I seriously thought she was going to reach out to me, but she never did. She started her campaign long before Monday morning. Over the weekend, she reached out to several of my husband's co-workers, mostly male. She told them that my husband had randomly stopped being friends with her and that she suspected it was my fault. She said she couldn't believe it, everyone knew how close they were. She just felt bad for him, wanted to be a friend to him, and hopefully help him out of our terrible marriage. She went on and on about how much this was going to affect her during work hours, saying she didn't even know if she could continue working at this job. One of the female workers at my husband's job messaged me about all of this. And as many of you predicted, she is gearing up to accuse my husband of sexual harassment. On Monday alone, she put herself in his path multiple times. It kind of feels like she's setting up a he said she said argument because, according to my husband, she's been doing a lot of odd things. Think things like intentionally following my husband into a room or section of the office that's somewhat closed off, accidentally emailing or forwarding things to him, going to his cubicle multiple times a day for no reason, and sitting close to him in meetings. It seems harmless, but really, it feels like she's setting something up. My husband went to HR first thing Monday morning, and as I kind of expected, they pretty much said they can't do anything unless it affects work or working hours. His HR is not the greatest. He let them know what she was doing today, but honestly, I don't think they took him seriously. We've been thinking about moving. The only thing keeping us here is really his mom, so he might just transfer jobs? We're not really sure. I hope things don't escalate any further, and since he's already gone to HR, I'm hoping nothing major happens. I'd also like to give a little update about our counseling. To all the people telling me I'm making a mistake by giving my husband another chance and trying to work things out, I'm so happy I don't listen to you. I understand it was a crappy situation. I lived through it. I know exactly how it felt. But counseling has revealed a lot about my husband that I didn't even know. Apparently, he was severely bullied in high school and went through a bit of a glow-up when he got to college. Sarah is definitely one of those stereotypical pretty blonde girls, and my husband admitted that it kind of felt like he was finally getting his chance to be popular in a social setting. He also admitted that Sarah basically mirrored everything about him, his likes, his dislikes. She talked to him like he walked on water. It definitely sounds like she was boosting his ego in a manipulative way. Like I said, I understand this isn't just a forgive and move on kind of situation, but hearing my husband talk about how it felt and how it affected him has made me feel a lot more sympathy for him. I still haven't moved back home, but we're taking it one day at a time. I had lunch with him on Monday, and I'm going again today. I'm trying to be there for him so he doesn't feel alone. I'm really ready for all of this to die down. I hope it doesn't escalate further at work, but if it does, we'll deal with it. Relevant comments. Commenter. Sounds like it's not going to die down until he leaves. Either he gets a different position on a different team away from Sarah, or he quits and finds a new job. Because the way you're explaining things, she is going to cause massive issues for him at work. And I'm hoping, based on what you said about your counseling, that your husband is being smart. I understand you said he went to HR, but HR is not going to care because he's a man. Since she's not physically doing anything, it's not going to be an issue until she says something. He needs a new job. I would have this conversation with him in counseling and tell him that it's only going to get worse. I've seen this happen time and time again. Nothing is going to change the way Sarah acts, and for her to say that she's trying to help him get out of a terrible marriage is already telling enough. She's going to blame everything on you, then blame it on your husband, and make it 10 times worse. I honestly hope the best for you and your husband, but he really needs to get out of there.